Yeah, what's up with it? Do it cause I love it and I stuck with it. We ain't with the subbing in the cut with it. Please, none of the talks, I heard enough of it. Like, what you gonna do? Where you at? Who you with? You ain't really about this, don't talk about it. Really on the move, on the map, never slip. Keep your hands to your lips, don't talk about it. Real eyes, real lives, all the time. Stand on it, if we said it, we don't walk around it. Loose lips, sink ships, red cup, blue strips, new phone, who this? No, we don't allow it. Really on go, I don't know what's an off day. Now we on road, came from smoking in the hallway. Now we got...
I think she froze.
There she go.
You back with us?
Here, it was a delay, so I'm good.
Delay,
Hello, huh?
I hear. Okay, I hear you talking, but you're not moving. But there you go. I think you're moving now.
All right, you know how I go. It been good all this time now. I want a trip, so we good. Hello everybody. Thank y'all for tuning in to tonight's episode. We greatly appreciate y'all for being here. We definitely hope that this episode shines some light on this subject and it'll motivate some people to get out there and do what they need to do and do their part as a human being in this wonderful world. So, as you can see, both co-hosts is in position tonight. DA looking like he about to go rob a bank.
Why that analogy? Like,
she's so stereotypical.
I know. Like,
I am not. But we already call him darkness, and then he got the hat and
about the
all
blackout or something. I don't know. Rob a bank
really?
though. God damn.
Go and do your thing, dude.
What it is? Who win? Who? Him? Me?
You. I've been talking to you. You, sir.
Okay, I guess you're talking about me. All right. What it is? What it do? What it be like? It's your boy DA, aka what? AKA, oh my God. AKA, did he just say that? Yes. What's up?
Whew. All right. So next we have DJ.
Yo, what's up, everybody? It's me, DJ. Y'all know how I do. I'm just here to maintain and entertain, Yeah.
Do you see the comment?
Who?
YGY 27 said DJ looks like a friendly Santa in his opinion.
Thank you for the compliment.
Yeah. Definitely that. All right. Yeah. He friendly. Hey Q, what up?
What up, Q?
All right. So we are going to go ahead, and DJ has the honor tonight of introducing our guest. I'm really super excited about this episode. Of course, as you see, the topic tonight is educate to vote. We know voting is, to some, don't see the point, but voting is very important. And believe it or not, your vote makes a difference. So we have two awesome ladies here tonight joining us to discuss and educate us on voting. DJ, go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited about this particular show. I know these two women are very smart, very knowledgeable, and I know that everything can be covered with this particular panel. So just start thinking about y'all's questions. And let's just go ahead and bring them up because I'm ready to get off into it. And once we bring them up, then we'll let them talk a little bit more about themselves.
All right. So tonight, a returning guest, we have Sharetta.
Hi.
Hey, where you at? There you go.
coming. There we go.
Uh-oh.
Oh, there she went.
Let's see. Hold on. It's coming back. Hold on. With that little delay with wonderful little Spectrum.
Man, Spectrum so bootleg.
Hit that again.
There I am.
Man,
I came back.
You know, I got. All right, we back. We kicking. All right, here we go. And we also will bring Commissioner Tony on with us.
Commissioner. The commissioner.
Commissioner.
Good
Hey,
evening.
Dr.
Tony. Hey there.
Man, so I am really, really excited tonight. First of all, I want to thank y'all for taking time out of y'all's busy schedule, especially this time of year. I know how busy y'all both are, and I appreciate this. And I'm just ready to get off into it. So, Sharetta, you want to tell us about yourself first? A little bit about yourself? It's yours?
You were glitching a little bit, but I think we're okay now.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay, tell us about yourself.
I think TK may be frozen.
Okay.
Am I going first or Dr. Tony?
You.
Dr. Tony. Okay. So my name is Sharetta Lee, and I am here today because of my work in voter empowerment. So I have been the voter empowerment chair for Denton County chapter of NAACP. That is a role that I've held in the past and that I will likely take on again. I have been a deputy voter registrar for about almost 25 years in Denton County, Dallas County, Tarrant County, and Navarro County in Texas. And I regularly work with Denton County elections as a presiding judge over polling locations.
Nice.
Wait,
Wait, so you're a judge? Wait, are you an actual judge with the gavel, like guilty cat type one?
No, I'll explain what a presiding judge. So I can tell you now what a presiding judge is, at least in Texas. So everything I'm going to speak about will primarily come from the Texas perspective. Okay. The people that work in the polling site, like when you go in to cast your ballot, the person that is over that particular polling site, the boss of that particular polling site, is what they call a presiding judge. And then you have an alternate judge who takes over when the presiding judge isn't available. And then you have clerks. So that's the hierarchy. And so I primarily work as a presiding judge at a polling location.
Yes. And you also work closely with the mayor and other city officials, right?
Yes. I mean, I'm also on the Board of Commissioners for Denton Housing Authority, but that isn't necessarily
right
in this particular.
Yeah, right. But you work close with those people. That's just the point. Okay. Dr. Tony, how are you?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm well. Thank you.
All right. I know you got a lot going. Okay. I'm sorry. I apologize. Go ahead.
Oh no, I'm fine. I am Dr. Tony Stewart. I am the vice chair of the Cumberland County Board of Commissioners here in North Carolina. I'm in my first term. We served for 4 years. I'm also the chair woman of the Department of Social Services, which means a lot to me. And yeah, I do some other things, but for the purposes of this.
Okay. Yeah, very nice. I appreciate that. Go ahead, my brother.
So what is a commissioner and what does a commissioner do?
Yeah.
We are responsible for the taxes that come in here and making sure that we do what we're supposed to do with the taxes that we collect. We make sure that all the mandated services for our county are being met. Like Cumberland County Board of Education. So under me is our school board, our Department of Social Services, We do all the, our sheriff office, we can't tell them what to do with their money. With the sheriff office, we can't tell them what to do with their money, but we pay them. We make sure that they get paid.
Hmm.
Okay,
So we
okay.
can't
Other
say,
words.
take this money and only use it here, or you can only do this, and you can only do that. Same thing with our school board. They get a lot of their money from the state, but if they want to build a new school or something of that nature, they have to get it approved from the Board of Commissioners.
Hmm.
Okay. Hmm.
That
So
just
we do
sparked a
quite a
whole
bit.
bunch of
We do quite a
questions.
bit. Yeah, we do quite a bit.
That just sparked a whole bunch of questions.
But that's in
Very nice.
Cumberland County. Now, I'm not sure where you are. So
I mean, I don't think areas matter as much. I think the structure is probably all the same. That was one of my questions. What is the Never mind. Go ahead. Y'all go ahead. Y'all got questions. I hold
Nah,
mine.
Well,
ask the question, bro. We already
let,
there.
Okay.
well, let me
So
help you with this. We have a city council. I don't know if you have a city council.
yes.
Some counties and cities are what's the word? They
Segregated.
collaborate. I can't think of the word.
Oh.
But they run together. Just depends on what type of government your county has. We have a city council. In our city council, they have the police department is under them and things of that nature. However, their only mandate service is building code. That's the only thing our city council is responsible for. Although they do a whole lot of other things, but they're only responsible for that one thing. They're not responsible for trash. They're not responsible for schools. They're not responsible for the officers in the schools. None of those things. Although they do it, that is not what they are required to do. So that's why it may differ. Your city council and your commissioners may differ in their roles.
Okay.
Hmm.
So that's a state to state, I think, or county to county, city to city.
That's that's true of North Carolina consolidated. That's what I want to say. Like Durham County, in Durham City, they collaborate. They are
Okay, I got
they
you.
work together. They don't have anything separate. Their government is ran one way. Yes.
Oh, yeah. I told you I'm about to start firing them off. So when we talk about, because you just broke it down, and this plays into why a lot of people don't vote or don't vote at the local level. Can you break down the actual structure from bottom to top of how it is? Like you said, you got the commissioner, somebody had to vote you in, or are you elected or are you selected? But you got different commissioners for different positions that all have to politic, right? Or am I going down a rabbit hole?
Can I address that?
Yes, please.
Okay,
I
so
do it. I like
it is
education.
going to be different state to state because local governments are run primarily through your state constitution and then city structures, county, that kind of stuff. So what's going to be true for Texas is not going to be true for North Carolina. It's not going to be true for Georgia. It's not going to be true for West Virginia, New York. It is primarily run state to state. What you do typically have, every state has a constitution. Every state has a Supreme Court or Court of Appeals, both on the civil and the criminal side. And those positions are primarily elected. There is a state representative, a state senator, and a state representative. And then there are U.S. senators and U.S. representatives. So you're looking at two different bodies of government. You have your national government, and those are the people that go to Washington, D.C. But then you also have your local governments, your state things, and those people will primarily work in the state wherever your capital city is. And then you have your city governments county things, because you're going to have county judges. You're going to have a sheriff who is usually over the county. And then you are going to have your city stuff, and that's going to be your mayor, your city council, JP courts come up under them, justice of the peace.
Okay.
And then school board is completely separate from that.
Okay.
So that's the general consensus, but it varies from state to state.
Okay, Dr. Tony, did you want to add anything to that, Dr. Tony, before we move on?
So he asked if I was selected or elected. I'm an elected official.
Right.
And it's the commissioners. And then under the commissioners, you have your different municipalities or different cities that sit under the commissioners. And they are elected. That's where your mayors and things of that nature come from. But they're under the, and I don't like saying it like that, but they're under the county commissioners.
Okay.
So
Very nice.
so then, okay. No, I was trying to get that out there because again, like I said, a lot of people don't know. We keep saying vote, you need to go vote, you need to go vote. They don't know that. So a lot of these positions, like yours and yours, Sharetta, are voted positions. So
Mine are not voted positions.
oh well, I just promoted your ass.
But I want to be clear.
but you see what I'm saying? It's interesting that, and I knew a lot, but I didn't know it went that deep. Like I didn't know it's two different constitutions, but it makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
TK, you got any
for
questions?
people that don't know, when is the deadline to register to vote?
In the state of Texas, you have to be registered to vote at least 30 days prior to election day. So your
And it's
voter registration card has to be postmarked 30 days prior to election day in order to be an active voter for that next particular election.
And here it's different because you can register to vote during early voting. And you can go and register and vote that day
Oh wow.
during
Wow.
early voting. So it's different here.
So how does the I know in the news the last couple of years there have been a lot of legislations that were passed about changing the rules on how to register to vote, how to vote, and how does that impact you specifically, Commissioner? Because yours is like on the spot. How does that impact you?
With them changing how you vote
How
or
like
register to vote?
yes.
Well, I don't know that it necessarily impacts, that part impacts me. What impacts me more is voter IDs and putting
Okay.
different stipulations on what's required to vote. That affects me more because you have people who are elderly or, people who may not have an ID. What type of ID do you have to have? What if I don't have a driver's license and I have just a school ID? Is that going to be acceptable? So those are the type of things that affect me more so than when they register to vote. It's how they're able to vote. But not every state requires an ID. This will be the first election in North Carolina that is now requiring an ID.
Cool.
Oh wow.
What about you, Sharetta?
So
Yeah, it doesn't affect me directly. It affects the work that I do because there are certain forms of ID that are acceptable. We have to, in most cases, we have to have a photo ID, but that could be your driver's license. It could be a state ID card, or it could be a passport. If you don't have any of those things, then there's a secondary list of things that are acceptable with like a birth certificate that shows that you're a naturalized citizen, a utility bill, a government check, in conjunction with your voter registration card. So there are different tiers, different levels to it, but primarily Texas wants a photo ID, but that could be, like I said, it could be a military ID, it could be a passport, it could be a driver's license, it could be a state ID, it could be your CHL license, those, something with a picture of you on it is primarily what is required in Texas.
Yeah. There's a question in the comments which I think may be interesting. So the question is, how do you all feel about the money and the media basically dictating to the people who the viable candidates are? Does that make sense?
It
So
does
some
make.
people,
I'll let you go, Dr. Tony.
some people, people who have, all this money, they got all the ad campaigns and all of that, and, billboards, all that kind of stuff. But I would say to that is you got to do your homework. I mean, of course, if I put all this money in my campaign, of course I'm going to, make myself, if I do a commercial, of course I'm going to make myself, look like the best candidate. But do your homework. Don't allow anybody to sway you by, they're controlling the narrative, and be smarter than that. Do your homework.
All I can say is ditto.
Yeah.
Do I like it? No. Is it gonna continue? Yes. Unfortunately.
Yes, and that's exactly what I was going to say. You got to be smart enough to do your own research. Don't just vote for a person because you like their smile or because you see their face every morning going to work. Do your research.
Do you all know the number one reason why people vote for a particular candidate in the United States, statistically?
Color.
No, actually, it's not color.
It's the party. They vote party.
No, it's not party.
What?
The number one reason why people vote for a particular candidate in the United States is name recognition.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely. It's a popularity contest all day.
It is the name. They may not know anything about that particular candidate or their stances or anything like that, but they recognize the name. So the next time you're watching TV or you're listening to the radio or something like that, and you see a political commercial or you hear a political commercial come on, count how many times they say the person's name.
Well, here's something else to consider. Does anybody know who Tony Stewart is?
I mean, I know
I
who you
did
are,
not
but
till this
Not
episode.
Not me, not this Tony Stewart. You guys know who Tony Stewart is?
Is it? Well, hold on. Nah, I'm not. Nope. Because this ain't the Tony Stewart I know.
He's a NASCAR racer, car driver.
Yeah, it is. Then it's the same one. I will.
He's a NASCAR race car driver, right? So, people know that name. If I get married, I absolutely will run under Tony Stewart, regardless of what my name is.
Okay.
All right.
There's a lot more that I can say, but I'm not sure who's going to hear this, so I won't. But
it makes now that you broke it down like that, it makes sense. Y'all got my synapses firing right now.
That was a great point, Sharetta. I like that you pointed that out, because now we'll be more attentive to what we're hearing and not just and that's funny because so this is my first time ever. I was always that person that kind of cringed when it came to politics. It's because I just did not know, right? So now I am a clerk, so I'm working at one of the polling sites. So I'm hearing certain questions. I'm hearing the name recognition. Them asking about who was that we saw on TV. or what was that ad? I'm hearing these things. So I know that what you're saying is absolutely true. You know, in hindsight,
It's a
thinking back,
popularity contest.
yes.
It just is. It is it's a popularity contest, and I hate to say it, but it's true. And I've had people vote for me because they thought I was a man, not looking at how my name was spelled. So they thought I was a man. So they voted for me. There are some places where you'll see my picture on my signs because people vote for so many reasons, and it's not all at the top of that list. It's not always because they've done their homework.
Yes, that's probably at the bottom of the list, to be quite honest.
They say,
That's
"Oh,
scary.
she's cute. We'll vote for her." I thought it was a guy. I'm going to vote for him.
That's
And
scary
I'm
as
like,
hell.
nope, I'm a
Wow.
woman.
That's scary. So it makes sense how we got our last president. So it makes sense now.
Baby.
Let's call a spade a spade. Like,
So you talking about the current one or the one prior to
the
him?
one prior to this one.
Yeah,
It makes
absolutely.
sense.
Mm.
Yes, I agree. So the question is, like, because a lot of people don't vote just because they just don't know. So like, as far as educating people, you know, when you ask someone and they say something like, I'm just one person and my vote don't count. So, like, how would that conversation look if you ask me about voting, right? Okay, man, I don't think it matters if I vote or not. I'm just one person. Like, what would you tell a person like me?
I'm glad you asked that question.
I did ask that question.
Segue into, prior to the show, I asked everybody on the panel to go look at their social media and find out how many Facebook friends they have. Find out how many followers they have on TikTok or Instagram. So, TK, how many Facebook friends do you have?
I have 241, but I have 3,023 followers.
Okay. DJ?
Huh? Oh, combined number around 10,000.
Okay. Dr. Tony?
Combined 72,000.
Ooh, I see you.
DA, I know your number is small. Because he doesn't really do social media very much. So I ain't gonna put you on blast like that.
What's your number?
I have 1,602 Facebook friends, 364 Instagram followers, and 7,146 TikTok followers, right? I told you all to look up that number because in Dallas County, just maybe about 10 or so years ago, there was a man that was running for district attorney. He had won district attorney. It was a black man. His name was Craig Watkins.
I heard, yeah.
Craig Watkins was the district attorney for Dallas County. And in his tenure, he had started what was called the Conviction Integrity Unit, where he was actively using the resources of his office to go back and research cases and find out if people had been wrongly convicted, right? And using DNA evidence to have these people released. And he had something like close to 100 people that he found out had been wrongly convicted and their convictions were overturned and they had been released. Well, as you can imagine, there were some people that were upset about that. So in the next election, he was running against a, can I say race stuff on her?
Yeah.
A YT lady.
Yeah.
Okay. Y'all know what that means.
Yeah.
A YT lady. Now look at the number of friends you have, the number of followers you have. Craig Watkins lost that election by 3,883 votes.
Oh, that's my Facebook friends. Wow.
6 months after he lost the election and the new lady came on and became the new Dallas County District Attorney, she was found in her office high on methamphetamines. They sent her to rehab.
I'm sorry.
The county sent the DA to rehab. She was in rehab for a while and they had an interim. She got out. She relapsed. She eventually, if I am not mistaken, OD'd. But she did it she was in office in just enough time to break apart that integrity unit that Craig Watkins had put into place. So when people say their vote doesn't count, literally the less than the number of Facebook followers, social media followers we have could have changed the outcome of that election. And that's also why the local elections are so important, because those literally are won just simply on the number of votes that people get. So if Dr. Tony and I am running for the same office and Dr. Tony gets 51 votes and I get 50, she won. It's literally that simple.
Yeah.
That is why, especially in more of the local elections, your vote carries weight. Think of how many people you go to church with. If you're in a fraternity or a sorority, and I'm not just talking to y'all, I'm talking to the people that's listening. If you're in a fraternity or a sorority, the people you go to church with, your brunch friends, if you gather them all together and y'all be like, hey, we're going to run by here and go vote. If you know some elderly people that can't get out their house and they don't have transportation, if during early voting you go pick them up and take them to the polls, you never know. It might be that one extra person that you told about it that you brought to the polls, and that changes the outcome of an election.
And that goes back to something that.
Hold on one second, DA. Hold on one second, DA. Did you want to chime into that question, Dr. Tony?
I lost my first election by 311 votes.
Wow.
People think that, you know, as we were talking earlier, they just want to vote in the presidential elections. But what affects you are the local elections. And not only that, your local elections, when people are in office locally, either your city council or your county commissioners, those are the people that normally go to your state, that are part of your state delegation, because they don't stay locally, they move to the state. After state, they go to DC. And so you are literally elevating people, but your local elections, you don't like the way that your trash is being, you know, dealt with. That's local. You don't like what's happening, you know, on your police department, your sheriff department, your taxes. That's local. Your property tax, that's local. And so local
School
government.
board, you don't like the curriculum. You don't like they making your kids wear school uniforms, or you want them to. All of that.
Well,
That
hold on one
is
second.
local. And so I just wanted to say that, one, your local government affects you more than anything else. It affects you more than your state and federal. Your local government affects you more. And so don't minimize your vote. And as Ms. Lee said, that every vote counts. Every single vote counts. So, you know, when you're not voting, then, you know, you can't say nothing about nothing.
Yeah, so your vote is your voice, in other words, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I agree with that. Your vote is your voice.
And if you don't vote, you don't have a voice. That's literally giving someone else the right to speak for you, to take the words out of your mouth, even if they're not the words you want.
Okay. What were you about to ask, DA? What was your question?
No, I want to hit up. I was about to hit up the comments, because it made me think. And that's a damn good question, because the question is Quincy says, for Here's the
Wait,
$89.
get the one up above.
Which one?
Mm-hmm. He asked a
There's
question
one before that.
It is.
How do you feel
Mhm.
about
Yeah. Does the requirement
Oh, I ain't
does
even
the
see that.
requirement what is considered as acceptable ID when voting vary from state to state, or is it all the same everywhere? I think we kind of touched on that because
Yeah, we
I
hit
know
on
I
that
was
earlier.
Yeah,
curious.
it's from state to state.
Okay.
Because I know Dr. Tony said this is the first time they're doing actual IDs. So what was that being used before?
You didn't have to present anything when you went to vote. You just gave them your name and they found your paperwork and they gave you your ballot.
Okay.
Wow.
So that's. I wonder, is that what sparked the issues in Georgia when they were starting, when they came and said you can't do certain things?
Hold on one second. Let's go ahead and answer the question we was getting ready to answer. It was an $89 question.
Yeah.
Knowing that it's a popularity contest, how can we get the best people in office? That was the question. Knowing that it's and I think that just goes back to, again, doing your research.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
Yeah.
That's all.
And holding those people accountable once they get into office. Don't just vote and then you don't think about it again until the next election. You hold those people accountable. Show up to city council meetings. Show up to school board meetings. You show up and you're active. One of the best examples I can give, and I think we probably all gonna understand this. Y'all remember the movie Lean on Me?
Yes.
Y'all remember the loudmouth lady?
Yeah.
She had something she wanted, and what she wanted was Joe Clark not to be the principal at East Side High. Remember?
And
if y'all remember, there's a scene where when they walked through the school, and she was like, I want him out right now, and I have enough people behind me. She got mad about the first meeting. Then she started going to school board meetings. Y'all remember that? She was sitting on the board saying, we can get him out and bring in what the school needs, and that's a new principal. Y'all remember that?
Yeah,
because she got pissed off about something, she got active. And then there's that scene where they was in the bathroom.
Can I say something real quick? So what you're saying is that we have access to these people.
Absolutely.
Right? These are people that we can reach. That's the point of her.
It's not just that you have access, but hold them accountable. Tell them, this is what you said you were going to do in your campaign. This is what I expect you to do. And if you don't do it, I am going to find somebody or I myself am going to run against you. I'm going to get people to vote against you in your next election. Hold these people. And the only people that you can access like that are the local people.
Yeah. Dr. Tony, did you want to add anything to that?
Prayer is now banned from schools because of one woman.
Yeah, I remember that.
One woman. And absolutely hold people accountable. As Ms. Lee said, show up. Your vote does not stop once you put the ballot, once you submit your ballot, it doesn't stop. Follow through. And, you can, you have access to your local, but I would even, say and I know it's kind of different for me because I know, the people in DC and in the state, but write your delegation, send them letters, email them. I don't care if it's every doggone day. If you don't like something, they work for you. They work for you. I have, 366,000 bosses. So, and the thing is that
you ain't drinking.
That's how many people in the county.
No, that's what I say. And she ain't drinking. Like shit. I was like, look.
No, because I understand that you can't please everybody.
Right.
But the thing is that if you stay true to who you are, I don't do politics. I know the game, but I don't make promises. I don't play those type of games. I only do what I can do. I may not be able to solve it, but knowing that, you know what, I'm gonna find out and I'm gonna do what I can do, and that's all I can do. So, but you absolutely need to hold people accountable. And I tell, just this last week, we have contaminated water here, where I live at, Gen X, the Forever Chemical. And one lady comes every month and she speaks during a public forum. And she says, oh, well, Commissioner so-and-so told me to stop.
Oh,
They coming to get
I'm
us.
sorry.
there we go.
He told me to stop talking. And I said, is your problem resolved? And she said, it's not. I said, then you keep talking. And she's in my district.
Wow. Okay.
I represent her. And so, you know, show up, keep talking.
Absolutely.
So Q said, I think we need a third political
I don't
party.
hear anything anymore.
Can y'all hear me?
I can hear you.
Sweet.
I can hear you.
Can you hear Dr. Tony?
Dr. Tony, you might have to go out and come back in from whatever happened a few minutes ago.
I can't hear anything.
Just drop her
Type it in the
down.
comment,
Okay.
TK. Type it in the comment. Q said his comment is, I think we need a third political party with the equal amount of clout as the Democratic and Republican parties. What do you think about that, Esley? And I asked you specifically for a purpose. Esley, did you Sherelle, did you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I did. Do I think it would be great? Yes. Do I honestly think it's ever going to happen? No. Because the Democratic Party and the Republican Party are businesses, and they have a lot of pull. They have a lot of clout, and they have a lot of money behind them. So I don't think that it will ever change. Historically, the issues that they support may shift because they have before. But I don't think a third party, because there are other parties. There's
Right,
the
that's
Libertarian Party and there's the Green Party. And so there are other parties. But will they ever get the same amount of national backing as the Democratic or the Republican Party? Most likely not.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. Did you hear what the question was, Dr. Tony, or the comment was?
No.
Okay, so we responding to one of the comments in the comment section was, I think that we need a third political party with an equal amount of clout as the Democratic and Republican parties. That's what she was responding to.
Ditto.
Ditto. Ditto. Okay. TK, you got anything that you want? Any questions or even quiet?
So there's a comment from YGY27. He said, I feel like at least 30% of persons vote for a candidate that they know barely anything, but is the closest one that they think of. They are gonna just vote blindly, the same as the neighborhood or the family, as the neighbor or the family member.
That's true.
I would say it's more than 30%.
That's way more than 30%.
Yeah, because then you hear like in I'm gonna use the last presidential election, they was talking about picking the best of two evils.
Well, they say that in every election, I think.
Yeah.
But it's but like they don't know a lot. Well,
I can say being an election worker and being on the front lines, literally checking people in, handing them a ballot, and seeing the people that come in to cast their ballots. I have seen, when I say I've seen people bring in their adult-aged special needs children.
Yep.
I have seen people, the last election I worked, there was a lady who literally, her body was twisted like almost, and she couldn't raise her head up. Like she was literally twisted like this. She had her neighbor bring her so that she can come and vote. We do curbside voting in Texas, so she didn't have to come in. I took the ballot out to her. When I say literally, Pawpaw got a pulse and barely that. They're gonna make sure that Pawpaw vote. And if voting was not important, why would they be so adamant about making sure
So
that
when you say
literally every
they-
person above anybody, the they being the people that, you know, because we hear people say, oh, vote not important. If it wasn't so important, why would people make sure that literally every person they know that is above the age to vote cast the ballot?
Mhm.
Because I'm telling you, I've seen people lead in somebody who is blind, deaf, and in a wheelchair. I literally have seen a mother wheel her child like in the wheelchair, and she pushing the thing and bring them in, and they are that person is a registered voter, and she says, I'm going to assist. And then she sits down and assist this adult age person with casting their ballot. And then she goes and gets her own ballot and casts her own ballot under her own name. I'm just saying, if it wasn't so important, folks wouldn't be trying to make sure that everybody votes the way they want them to vote.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and just address the elephant in the room. Why is it important for Black people to vote?
For the same reason it's important for white people to vote, and Asian people, and Hispanic.
But why?
Why? Because your vote is your voice. If you want to see something happen, the most impactful way you can affect the government that governs your life is to vote.
Because the reason why I did that is because that's all I being in the military, I hear both sides of the coin. I hear our side, I hear the military side, I hear their side, and 9 times out of 10, everything you said happens on the other side. But people that look like me, the first thing they say is, "Oh, my vote don't count." I'm like, but they sending your ass to war. You ain't gonna vote for that. But that's just
And
me.
that's the reason why I asked, or why I said, "Who is they?"
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the purpose of that. Not trying to be rude or cut anybody off. I just, for the sake of information, and he just said what I was thinking. So that's the only reason why.
Dr. Tony has her hands up.
As a people, African Americans, we are so accustomed to being minimized and felt irrelevant. So when it comes to voting, if you want to get in office around here, you better have you some Black people on your team, because we matter. What we have to say matters. Our perspective matters. But we don't all get it yet. This is not the 1950s or 60s, for that matter. We are relevant. And people don't think that our vote matters, or that it's going to make a difference, or that our voice doesn't matter, because we are so accustomed to being irrelevant. But we are very relevant.
Yeah.
Not only do we matter, but they know we matter.
Absolutely.
Hence the reason you see these laws being put into place to try and hinder our vote, because they know if we ever catch on and pull together and unite and actively become a part of the system for real, the amount of power that we yield.
Yeah. And I'll just say this, most of the people that kind of feel like they don't matter are people that have not had exposure. These are people that only stay in their communities and their neighborhoods. You know, people that may live in a small town and never left that small town. So they have, and it's been drilled into their mind to be quiet or that they don't matter. So I would say it's just mainly about giving people exposure to other things outside of what's directly in front of them, if you understand what I'm saying. And because I used to be that person. It wasn't until I got out, started seeing things for what they really are, that light bulb went off.
Right.
Yeah.
But DJ, I think that when people who come out, I think that at that point they have a responsibility. They have a responsibility to go back and empower. They have a responsibility to go back and educate. So if they don't ever leave that community, they're wiser.
Yeah. Okay.
We got a question in the comment.
Did you want to read it, or did you want me to read it?
Yeah, I'm about to read it. It's YGY27 asks, how do they hinder the Black people's vote? That's a question for Sharetta.
In a number of ways. And it doesn't, so when we think about the incarceration rate for Black people versus Caucasian people or others for the same crime, right? The amount of time. So when you are a felon, one of the things that you lose is your right to vote.
Oh, yeah.
However, I don't know about in other states. In Texas, I want this to be clear. In Texas, you can have a felony and still be able to vote as long as you are not on paper. If your sentence has been completed. So say you got a felony and they gave you 10 years. You did 5 and then you was on parole for 5 years. You got out after 5 and you were on parole. Those 5 years that you're on parole, you can't vote. But after that 5 years is up and you're no longer on parole, you have the right to vote again. But a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people think just because they got a felony, they can never vote again. Absolutely untrue.
Yep. And they'll give a Black person 10 years for the same 1 year that someone of another race may have gotten as far as their probation.
Absolutely. That's one of the ways. Drawing districts is another way that they try and hinder people from voting. So you can have people that live on the same street, but that line went down the middle of the street. So your neighbor across the street got to go 10 miles away to go vote, where you can go around the corner to go vote. So that's another way that they try and hinder votes. The way that the district, and again, you can combat that by talking to your local representatives, because those are the people that draw those lines. That's another way. Just not making the information so hard to get. There are millions of ways that they try and hinder our vote, but the simple fact that they work so hard at hindering our vote, sometimes these ID laws are a part of it. Like the fact that they try so hard to hinder our vote should be the biggest clue of how much power our vote holds.
Let me add this. I wrote down the time and location of the polling places, and you alluded to that. Well, you said that when you were talking about the lines being drawn, and somebody has to go 10 miles 10 miles away, but somebody else can go around the corner. When they like early voting, I think last year we probably had for early voting, we probably had 2 or 3 precincts open. That's all. And so, and then they were open like 9 to 5, something real dumb. Well, people are at work, so they can't go out and they can't vote. And so then one of our HBCUs, they were had a polling place that was somewhere that literally took them about 3 hours to get to on the bus. Like we're in Cumberland County, right? So you can go all over town, in 45 minutes or so. So you're taking hours, and these kids ain't gonna do that. Some of the elderly can't do that. And so now, I think we probably have 9 precincts open because it's a presidential election year. And so we got 9 precincts open for early voting. And I think the number that I got for Democrats, I get the number for Democrats who vote. And I think we're just over 1,000 people. I told y'all my county is 365,000 people. We have 1,000 people that have voted, and we're going into our second week of early voting.
I can piggyback on what Dr. Tony just said. I looked at the numbers because we're in early voting in Texas as well. I didn't look at the numbers today, but before the close of the polling day yesterday, I looked at the numbers. In my county, almost 7,000 more Republicans had already cast a ballot.
Yeah.
I looked at the numbers. There was 8,400 and something Republicans that had cast their ballot already, and literally 1,908 Democrats that had cast a ballot.
Yeah, that's where we're
all
at.
of my county, in the entire county.
That's
They
funny.
showing up. They showing
That's
up.
funny because the last election they complained about the Democrats doing the same thing. That's very interesting. Because the Republicans was trying to get all the early votes that the Democrats put in because they were blowing them out of the water. They're trying to get them thrown out. Now the tides are flipped. That's very interesting.
And then also the early voting is early voting versus election day. So in my county, during early voting, you can go to any polling site, regardless of where you live. As long as you live in Denton County, because that's the county I live in, you can go to any polling site and cast a ballot during early voting. But on election day, you have to go to the location for your particular precinct to cast your ballot. And you can only go to that location to cast a regular ballot. If you go to a location that's not your precinct location, they give you this form that's called a provisional ballot. So they're going to give you a ballot. You're going to send it, and but then they're going to decide whether or not they're going to count it. And I'm going to tell you, on election day, if you vote outside of your precinct location, they're not going to count your ballot. We could very easily change that rule. Okay. Dallas County has it changed, which is the neighboring county to us. Tarrant County has it changed, which is another neighboring county to us. You can go even on election day to any polling location and vote. The only reason why it has not been changed in Denton County is because both parties have to agree to it. And there is one party in Denton County that refuses to agree to it.
There's a two-part question.
I'll let you guess which one it is.
You ain't gotta say no more.
There's a two-part question in the comments. And the first part is for you, Sharetta, and the second part for you, Dr. Tony. So the first part is, how do you become a clerk? And the second part is, how do you become a commissioner?
Okay, so I can tell you how to become a clerk and work. In Texas, you go to your county election administration website, and there is a tab somewhere in there that says become a poll worker. Click on it, do the application. You have to be registered to vote. That is a requirement. You have to be registered to vote, but you do that application. And then you get put in the database. And it helps if when you go in to vote, talk to the people that are there, because those are poll workers. I have someone that's going to start working with me. He saw me at my last polling site and said, I've been wanting to do this for a long time. How do I do it? I told him where to go. I got his phone number and I kept in contact with him. And now he's going to be working with me. A lot of it is word of mouth. That's how I got into it. Somebody I knew said, hey, come do this. But if you don't know anybody, you go to your county, look up whatever your county is, election administration, go to their website, and there is a poll worker application. But one of the main requirements is that you must be registered to vote.
Dr. Tony?
I am an elected official, so I had to file to run for office. I think my filing fee was $340, and I run for office. So it is an elected position. But I want to add on to, for educational purposes. Right now, this is early voting. This is for the primary election. A lot of people think that if they vote, that when they vote in the primary, that they don't have to vote in the general in November. You have to vote 2 times. If you have a primary and then you vote in the general, you cannot, don't think that, and don't let anybody tell you that, oh, you already voted, you don't have to go back and vote. You have to go back and vote. The primary is just to get those top people that you want in on the general election in November. So please, if you vote in the primary, if you have a primary, make sure you go back in November and vote.
I have a question real quick. What's the purpose of the runoff, which is kind of midway through? Because I keep hearing, this is all new to me. I'm learning. I'm getting out of my comfort zone, but I keep hearing about the runoffs.
So basically what a runoff election is in a primary election or sometimes in a regular election, you have a list, especially in the primaries, you have a list of people that are vying for the spot on the general election ballot. Okay. So if no one receives at least 50% or more of the vote, then they take the top 2 people and put them in a runoff.
Okay.
So in your runoff election, it'll just be the top 2 people, the people that got the top 2 amounts of vote.
Yes.
And then that person, it's like the playoffs.
Okay. Gotcha.
Okay.
There you go.
So
yeah,
you gotta knock out all of the extras, and then you get to the top 2. And the top 2 would be the ones in the runoff. And then whoever wins the runoff is the person that's on the ballot, the general ballot in November.
Great analogy.
Thank you. Dr. Tony, do you want to add anything?
very much.
No, she did it perfectly. Great analogy.
DATK, y'all have any?
You know me, I got a shit ton of questions. I'm just waiting. So somebody in the comments, somebody asked, are the hosts and co-hosts registered to vote? I am, and
Yes.
one of my questions was, it kind of ties into that question. What about, because me being in the military, I don't register every time I move. I just go back to my home state. How valid is mail-in ballots?
They are very valid.
Okay.
They count just like any other ballot. But you should
That I was waiting on that, but I knew it was coming.
You should register every time you move, because we've been talking about local elections. Your vote is going to count toward those local elections. And I'm not sure if it is the same where Dr. Tony lives, but in Texas, the post office does not forward mail from the election administration. So say you
Wow.
move and you go to the post office and you fill out that forwarding address thing, and then the election administration tries to mail you something, they mail you your new voter registration card, the post office will not forward that. That will go back to the election administration. And then you get put in Texas, you get put in what's called suspense, which means the election administration tried to mail you something and the mail came back to them. So when you go in to try and vote again, you're going to have to verify your address. You're going to have to fill out a new form, and you'll probably still be able to vote, but you'll have to vote for where you used to live versus where you live now.
But when you forward your address, there's something on there that says, do you want to register to vote?
There is. And I can tell you, working on the front lines, it'll never come through.
Oh, wow.
I will also tell you, in Texas, when you go get your driver's license and you renew it, they ask you, do you want to register to vote? And you click yes. And I promise you, it don't ever come through.
I haven't had that experience.
So many people that have said they did it through the we had somebody today that came in and had done it through the post office. Nope, wasn't there. I have had so many people that said, I did it on my driver's license.
Wow.
The absolute best way to know that you are registered to vote, go to the election administration office and fill out a voter registration form and turn it in to them. You can mail it in, yes. But if you have the ability to get to your election administration office, fill it out there, turn it in there, and you know they have it.
This is great. I am loving this information. This is great.
Very much. Very much.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions, comments?
You know he got it.
Oh,
So somebody went back and asked, how can it be that inmates cannot vote? Isn't that a violation to human rights?
No, because when you commit a crime and you get punished, there are certain rights that you lose. And for felonies, one of those rights is the right to vote. You also lose the right to bear arms. You also, you know what I'm saying? Like, you committed a crime and that's a part of your punishment.
Yeah.
But once you off paper, you can go vote again.
Like, isn't that part of the 13th Amendment?
What? Which part?
That one. Oh shit! You made me forget.
Yeah.
So I remember some years back, me and Dee were part of this organization. And we were trying to get people to sign up to vote.
Yeah.
The excuses that we heard are the reasons why they didn't want to sign up to vote was bizarre. And I mean bizarre. We got the thing about people saying, well, I'm a felon, I can't. At that time, we were able to correct, hey, are you on paper? That part. So that was something that I did remember from that. But it was, I ain't voting because I don't want them to take my food stamps. Oh, no, I ain't voting because they going to try to take away my free child care. Like, the reasons were, it was like something that just made you like, you was like literally scratching your head and you was standing there with your mouth wide open. And I was like, wow. Yeah. And I hate to say it. It was us. It was us.
Of course it was.
It was a 1,000,010 reasons on why they couldn't vote, not
And
paying attention to you not voicing, you not voting and having that voice. For that same reason is all the reason that you would lose those services that you don't want to lose is because you're not voting.
and the number one reason was I'm just one person. My vote don't matter.
Mhm.
I
The
believe
sad,
I've
the
heard them.
sad thing is that they were only repeating what was told to them.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That's the sad part.
Yes.
Nobody just makes that up.
Yeah.
So that's the narrative that they roll with because that's what someone has told them.
And I mean, when you look at us, you have to remember the fight and the struggle that people that look like us went through to get this right to vote.
Mhm.
And in that time, you know, there was a time when if it was known that you as a Black person was trying to go vote, you know, they'd be sitting there waiting on you. And
Yeah.
people were getting beat. Like, it's not just this fantasy thing. It is something that was very real, and that fear was instilled in
Mhm.
kids who
Mhm.
then grew up and had kids. And through the generations, it got distorted and became as ridiculous as
Mhm.
what we see now. However, it came from a very real place.
Yeah.
Yes.
There was the poll exam that people had to take. There was poll tax that people
Yeah.
like. If you couldn't pay this poll tax, you couldn't go vote, and you had to pass this enormously insane
Yeah.
test. And
Yeah.
if you couldn't pass that, and we're talking about people where it was illegal for them to learn how to read, and then you want them
Right.
to go pass a test.
Right.
Yeah.
You know
And
what I'm
that's
saying? Like,
and that's the
literally. And then
PG-13 version.
it gets passed down through the generations, and it arrives in the foolishness that we see and the foolishness that we hear. But it started back then, and it just worked its way through the generations. But that's why it's so important to have shows like this, to have people that know and that are willing to share their knowledge and willing to help people get the knowledge so that they know what they didn't know, because you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And until somebody tells you what you don't know, you still don't know. And then you're
I
going to
agree.
pass that ignorance on to your kids and your grandkids and your great grandkids.
Yeah. And one thing that I noticed, even in this short time, I look at the people that's coming in, and even the people that are working, right? So the people that are working on one side look just like us. The people that are working on the other side look just like what we would call the opposition. I mean, and even like I mean, it's such a big gap or wedge, right? So how do we begin to just bridge that, man? I mean, it almost wants to be heartbreaking, but you know you have to push just to make that difference, just to encourage somebody that looks like me, you know, somebody that looks like each and every one of us. Yeah, but that's all I got, y'all. Dr. Twain, did you want to add anything?
When you first started talking, I was thinking about how when you talked about the other side
Yeah.
and people that look like us or who may not look like us. I remember when I was running for this particular office, my district is made up of wonderful people.
Yes.
A lot. And so one girl told me, she said, I'm a Republican and I'll never be a Democrat. And I said, I'm a Democrat and I'll never be a Republican. And she says, well, I'm really not a Trumpster, but I'm going to, roll with them. And so I said, well, I'll never be. And I said, but how can we work together?
Mm. Yes, I love it.
And me as a commissioner, and I tell people all the time that some issues are party issues and some issues are people issues. And as a commissioner in local government, my issues are people issues, not party issues. And so I had two African American Republicans that came to my groundbreaking ceremony for a shelter. And one, she's like, I absolutely could never be a Democrat because I don't believe in abortion and da 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 da. And I said, I'm a Democrat, and I don't. So it's you have those people that's just straight up and down, and straight up and down. But understanding that, well, those two women, they were like, why don't you come over and come to one of our meetings and things of that nature. Not so interested at all. But the thing is that we gotta figure out how we can work together. We got to figure out how we can collaborate, because that's how things get done, is with collaboration. And you don't have to be on my team to be on my side, right? And when
Mm.
we're dealing with people issues, I don't care if you got a D or a R or a U after your name. How can we come together and work for the people that put us in office?
That's it. That's it.
But
Hold on, DA. I can say how I do it from my side. Quite like what Dr. Tony said, the way that I work to bridge the gap is, and how I've done it in the past, being a presiding judge, is I actively will train anybody. So, is there a training that we go through? Absolutely. You go and you sit in this classroom for a few hours, and this lady talks, and she got a PowerPoint, and she goes through all of this to give you this information. But it's a different thing than being in a polling site interacting with voters. You know what I'm saying? So that's a little different. I have had, I can't tell you how many people from other parties that have come into my location, and I've trained them. And I've had some of these people say, you know what? I don't want to be a judge. I don't want to be a presiding or alternate judge, but I'll come clerk for you. I'll come work and clerk for you. And they have. They've worked and clerked with me, because for me, the most important thing is to get the work done, to get people to come in and vote. I say often, I don't necessarily care who you vote for, which is kind of true, but kind of not true. I do care a little bit, but I want people to vote.
Right.
I want people to vote.
Yes. Yes. I would say, y'all. I definitely think later on during the year, when it gets closer, we should do another segment. Get more. Yeah. I don't think one is enough. Especially this year.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I know our time is winding. TK, whichever direction you want to go, we're rolling with you, man. I don't know.
Well,
I know Dr. Tony is in a different time zone, so I do want to be respectful of her time.
I'm
definitely
tired,
that.
don't you?
Yeah, I see it in your eyes. You leaning, that lean coming, and I don't want you to mentally check out
Hey,
on
I
it.
understood.
Yeah.
Oh, no problem. And we could definitely close out, because we definitely like to be respectful of our guest time, because we always appreciate them for coming on. So we can definitely go ahead and start to close out for tonight. And of course, we will allow our wonderful guests to give their closings, and also you can tell us what you have going on right now. So, Dr. Tony, you can go ahead.
Well, currently I have a primary race, so I am currently campaigning right now. Um, So that's taken up a lot of my time. I just finished my second doctorate. I'm super excited about that. Um, I have a radio show, Tea Time with Dr. Tony. But because of the radio laws, I cannot do my show right now. I have to wait till after the primary, because you have to have equal radio time for all candidates if you're a candidate. So although I am in office right now, I'm still a candidate. So my radio show will be back on in March. I love that. Just broke ground on the first county homeless shelter. We have issue with homelessness like most counties do, but we're a Health and Human Services Board, so I would think that qualifies us to be able to have a shelter. So I'm super, super, super excited about that. And I think that's about
I
it.
tell people how to follow you.
You can follow me on Facebook. I just got rid of some people on there. It's Dr. Tony Stewart on there. I am Dr. Tony on Instagram, which I don't do much of, and then TikTok is Dr. Tony. So you can find me there. If you are in Cumberland County or people in Cumberland County, tell them to make sure they go out and vote, do their homework on me, do their research on me, and make an educated decision when voting.
I love it. All right, Sharetta.
So you can follow me on TikTok and Instagram. On TikTok, I'm Esley Just Me, and on Instagram, I'm Esley Just Me 2, the number.
Okay.
And or on Facebook, just my name. But I am also the host of a show called Ladies Night, and we are gearing up for our second season. And it is about ladies, but for everyone. And so I typically have different women, different topics that pertain to women, because my audience is predominantly Black women. Different topics that pertain to women, and I have a panel of guests that come on. And so I'm currently working on my second season. My first season was a resounding success, but it was a while ago. I had to take a life break, so I'm starting back with that, and you can catch that on Instagram, and on YouTube, it is TFG Ladies Night TV on YouTube. And so we're currently airing season 1 episodes while we're working on the season 2. So every week, a new episode from season 1 will be posted. And so, yeah, check it out. I think there's a lot of information there that you'll like.
I love that. Is it my turn?
And
Yes,
go
sir.
vote. Go vote.
I love it, YouTube, and I tell both of y'all, I'm here for it. If I lived in Cumberland County, I would definitely vote for you and just support you in everything that you're doing. Grateful for your friendship. Sharetta, I'm excited about season 2. I'm here for it as well, and everything else that you have going on. I mean, the knowledge that you both shared, but I can relate a little bit more to you, Sharetta, because I am here in Texas as well. Awesome knowledge, and the way you break it down so we can understand is great. So me personally, this is not about voting, but I was cast in a stage play, Dreamgirls, as Marty. So I've been busy, doing the clerk stuff in the morning, and then my job in the evening, and then the rehearsal in the evenings. My days have literally been sun up to sundown. But I'm excited, learning a lot as far as acting, singing, and just the stage presence. Hater, somebody like it, and just the stage presence in itself, I'm enjoying it. That's really all I got going on. Doing this here podcast with my friends over here. I appreciate y'all sharing y'all's platform with me, and let's get it. Oh, you can follow me on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook under DJ Acosta or DJ Unclife.
Oh, my go. All right. My closing thoughts. I mean, I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. When it comes to this subject, we're talking about voting. We hit on it. Do your research. Don't listen to Ray Ray and Pookie them on the corner with conspiracy theories and stuff. Do your research. Understand what you do, what you're voting for, know what you want first, then do your research. And by your research, you get exposed to a lot of different things that you're probably not that you haven't been used to. Exposure leads to expansion. Expand your mind. Expand your mind. Get out of your corner. Get out of your hood, as we like to say. And as you get out, learn your local laws. Learn your local constitution. I didn't even know. For me, and I've been voting since I was 18. I didn't even think about local constitutions. I just didn't. So, and we hit on it. Right now, it's not as bad as it used to be when it comes to voting and trying to get registered to vote. But when you hit an obstacle, you can't quit. You cannot quit. You cannot just stop. You can't just well, it's hard. They trying to hold me back. Nah, you got to keep going because they kept it PG-13. I'm gonna tell you, people have died, literally got lynched for voting, for trying to vote. People have lost their lives. The last thing they tried to do was vote. So you cannot sit on your ass and not attempt to vote, try to vote. And as you see, it's a lot of things out there that's could hinder you from unknowing your status. Always follow up. You can find me. I'm just doing like everybody else.
Y'all find him on here.
Yeah. Now I do got Instagram and TikTok, and yeah, just send me a message. I'll reply, but you probably gonna see something. Yeah, you ain't gonna see nothing. But yeah, you see it at the bottom. That's all I got.
All right. First, I definitely want to thank both of these beautiful, highly educated and knowledgeable women for coming on the show tonight. I've learned, baby. I've definitely learned some stuff tonight. And that's one of the reasons for this podcast is to be able to educate people. And for me, if we helped and educated one person that'll go out and vote, I think we've definitely did our job. But I do want more than one, but I'll take one over none anytime. So this information is very, very helpful. Like I said, I've learned quite a bit tonight, and it's definitely even an eye opener. Even from the other times that I've worked with trying to get people registered, is a lot of stuff is really mind blowing. And I commend you both for what you do, because what you do is not easy in any aspect, not only as being Black, but being a Black woman. It's not easy. So I definitely salute and take my hat off to you both. And we will have y'all back to go over this at the end of the year before things start getting really real. If you have not registered to vote, please do so. The information has been given for you to do that. Definitely vote local. It is, as I said, very, very important. Y'all hit me onto some game even about the trash, because I be sitting up here sometimes looking like, I know my trash people like the back of my head, because we in sync. I put the trash out at 7, and before I leave, they done already came. So I be like, cool, I'm going to put it up, and I don't have to worry about nobody stealing my trash can. So that's a whole plus in itself. But just that information of even knowing the school uniforms. Who knew? People think that's the school.
Potholes on your street.
Man, baby, say all that right there. So this is an eye opener for a lot, I'm sure. If you have not, like, share, subscribe, and send this episode to somebody. Let's get that started that way. Share this episode to somebody that may not know or somebody that just needs to be refreshed, but send it to everybody anyway, your mama, your dad, all of you. Anyway. But again, we thank y'all for always supporting and watching our episodes. This has definitely been a blessing. So be sure to tune in, of course, next week, same time. And always go back and go rewatch some of them episodes because, you know, there'd be some very good episodes. But y'all already know you can find me on IG. T to the K all day is TikTok. I'm under TK's Chronicles on IG. Of course, there's TK's Chronicles on Facebook. And there's always the webpage, which is already also running across the bottom, and on all social medias under our link. So have a great night and be blessed.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Always.
Yeah, what's up with it? Do it cause I love it and I